Hello everyone, it's Seth Chandler and welcome to this episode of Slab Lab. And I'm very excited to have this guest, Mr. Jim Stoutjesdyk, who I've known for a long time. I hate to admit it, but maybe 34, 36, 37 years,
Yep.
A long time. And he's a big cheese in the coin business. He is Vice President of Numismatics at Heritage. And you've been there 29 years. That's a long time. So we're really excited to have Jim on this episode of Slab Lab. We've been trying to make this happen for a long time, but now we got a little bit of his time, and let's have fun with it, all right, folks? So Jim, welcome to this episode of Slab Lab.
Thanks a lot, Seth. I'm real happy to be here.
Cool. So, you have an important role in the business, but everybody kind of knows you as at Heritage, but I want to know about the person. I want to know about the man, Jim. So tell me about yourself, like where you grew up and kind of how you got started in collecting coins.
Well, I grew up in Swartz Creek, Michigan, which is a little town, and I guess my dad, one Sunday afternoon, or I guess rainy weekend, he went to the bank, brought back all of his coins from the safe deposit box, and just kind of spread them all out on the kitchen table. I was probably 8 or 10 years old, and I was just immediately fascinated. I started looking at all of his coins, and he pretty much stopped collecting in the 60s when he went to college, and so the stuff was kind of like a time capsule of what a collection from the mid-60s would look like. And so that immediately got me interested in coins.
You said you were just mesmerized. You're like, Dad, where were all these coins?
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden you brought these out now.
He would have a large cent in a little craft envelope, and it had a $1 price tag on it. Just really cool stuff like that. And so I noticed he had some stuff missing. So there were, some of the key dates and different things were missing. And I said, well, what's the story? Why don't you have these? And he said, oh, I sold some of these to pay for college, and this one I never found. And he had a 16D dime he found in circulation, which he was so proud of.
Wow.
He worked at a concession stand in the 50s at a movie theater, and he got the 16D dime and change.
I feel like that's about the last time. The 50s is like when you could maybe find a 1916 Stanley Liberty quarter, a 16D dime, right?
Yeah.
About the 50s when it all stopped, but it was possible.
Yep. So he had all these coins, and I said, well, let's go fill in the albums. Let's finish this. So we'd go to a little local coin shop in Michigan, Coin Cove.
Coin Cove, okay.
And so every Saturday we'd go in there and just kind of made friends with the owner. And they had junk boxes back then. This is in the 80s, mid 80s, and I'd sort through the junk boxes and find coins we needed, and I'd always find something really good. It was amazing. I'd go in there and I'd find a Liberty nickel that was worth $3 that he'd have in the 25-cent junk box. Right. So later I found out he purposely put that in there.
Yeah.
So he was trying to get me excited. So he would salt the junk boxes, which was kind of cool.
It's amazing what the position of a coin dealer or another coin collector can have an impact by doing such a little amount of effort could really mesmerize you and get you really hooked in the hobby.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Eventually my dad wound up buying half of that coin shop. So he was executive at General Motors, and for his 40th birthday, one of the partners in the coin shop had passed away, and so the other owner said to my dad, hey, do you want to be partners with me? And my dad's like, sure. So this was probably in about 1981 or 82. He bought half of this coin shop, and so I worked there after school and during the summer, and that was kind of my job was going to work at the coin shop. So that's how I learned a lot.
That's cool. So you learned a lot more than just about coins. You learned about business in that shop, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So how long did you work there for?
All during the 80s when I went to school in 87 is when I started college. So all through the 80s I worked there, and it was interesting. I learned, the fundamentals of how to run a business, and just saw everything, from buying to selling. And
day to day, what did you have to sort a lot of coins? It was did you put prices on coins that came in over the counter, buy collections?
Yeah. We'd staple coins up in 2x2 holders, and I'd make stuff available for inventory, sort through wheat pennies to look for better dates, do all the normal coin shop stuff. And
that's cool. That's cool.
Help people that brought stuff in, and actually bought some stuff over the counter when I was probably 15 years old.
That's cool.
So it was fun. Yeah.
Did it prepare you a lot for your current job or just in life working at the coin shop?
I think it did.
Yeah.
It got me really interested in coins, so that's when I really ramped things up, and I got involved in the local coin club.
That's cool.
Joined the Michigan State Numismatic Society, and then the first ANA convention was in Detroit in '84 that I went to, so that was like a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, that was a game changer for me.
That was like your first big coin show.
Big coin show.
How many tables do you think were there at the time? Like 50 or something?
Oh no, it was bigger than that. I mean, this is, you know, the A&A had hundreds of tables, and
yeah,
I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
So this was, I was 15 years old, and that really got me excited. I met Florence Shook, who later became my mentor. So Florence really encouraged me and got me exhibiting and writing articles, and I got really involved in, you know, as a young numismatist. And so that led me to get scholarships to the A&A Summer Seminar. So I probably went 5 or 6 times to the A&A, and, you know, that, again, you know, totally changed everything, where I thought, oh, there's all these other kids just like me that are, you know, interested in collecting. The very first class I went to, I had Q. David Bowers as my instructor, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like Michael Jordan giving you
Exactly.
basketball lessons, yeah.
So, you know, I really got involved with the A&A, and then when I was in college, I actually was an intern for 2 years. So
Hold on.
Okay.
How do you just skim over your experience at the A&A Summer Seminar?
Okay.
Come on, this is the best part.
Yeah, it was really great. I took grading classes.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I met Seth.
Yes, yes.
And I didn't realize that I'd met Seth until much later. So Seth showed me a picture. We reconnected a few years ago.
Yeah, when I
guess.
took over Witter Coin, probably like 5 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and you pulled out a picture and you said, "Hey, there's you," and there, you know, and my girlfriend. I had my little girlfriend Laura was there, and he's like, "Who do you think that tall guy is there?" And I said, "Seth, that's you." Like, that was pretty cool.
So we were, you know, and how old are you now?
53.
Okay, and I'm 50, so you're 3 hours. So I was probably, I think I was 14 the first year I went, so you were probably 17. So we were at the A&A Summer Seminar together in 1986, which is crazy to think, yeah. And Jim's pretty easy to spot. You know, you had a nice head of hair back then too. It was really, it had like inches. It was like an afro, wasn't it?
This was the 80s. I had a permed mullet, if you can believe it. You know, believe that or not. I mean, I had
a permed mullet. That's good.
That was in '87. That was what you did.
You were cool. You were very cool. Yeah.
So
that was a fun time. You know, it's like what you said is, you know, you go to the A&A Summer Seminar, and the exciting thing about it, not only are there other kids that are into coins, but they're really into coins just as much as like you are.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so that was exciting. But yeah, it's amazing. You know, I still see a couple of the other people too that we went together with. But yeah, after all these years, I always tell people too, it's like you may be really into coins for a period of time, then you disappear. Maybe you get married or have kids, or your job is, you know, you requires a lot of hours, but you always come back to coins. Nobody really leaves coins.
that's really true. Like,
yeah.
you know, my dad, perfect example. He puts his coins away to go to college, and you know, gets the itch again, brings them out when I'm 8 or 10 years old, and starts all over.
Yeah, huh. So then after, you know, the summer seminar, you graduated from high school, you went to college? Okay, what was that like?
I went to the University of Michigan. So this is 1987. So I got myself into an accelerated MBA program. You know, all the investment banking and everything was a big rage, and so they had a 5-year program at Michigan where you go and you get your bachelor's and MBA in 5 years.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So I was, you know, halfway through. It's probably about 1989, and the coin market just really heated up. So that was when Wall Street companies were talking about setting up funds, you know, having like these investment funds.
Kidder Peabody, I think, raised 40 million. Bruce McNall, like another like 50 million or something. A lot of money. And back then, that was when, you know, $1 million was a lot of money.
So the coin market was rocking and rolling. So it was really funny because I remember the minimum wage back then was $3.35 an hour. So I was going after school to coin shops, buying coins, and then going to the shows on the weekend, and I'd sell them, and then buy more coins at the show on the weekend, and then go back to the shops and sell them the next week. So I had a little business going, and I was probably making $3,000 or $4,000 a month. You know, all my college roommates are making, you know, a couple hundred, $300-400 a month. And so I thought real hard and said, this coin thing's pretty cool. Like this is a pretty good thing. So I switched gears. Like, it was really funny. I was a pretty good student. You know, when I was in high school, I was on a roll and, you know, top, you know, 10 students and all that stuff. So I actually failed statistics class.
Really?
So that was kind of, I was so busy doing my coin stuff that I just missed enough classes or whatever happened. I failed statistics, and that was a requirement to go to the business program. So that kind of changed everything. When I failed that class, I said, okay, I'm going to switch gears. Political science and psychology, I can just write papers and graduate, which is what I did. So I just, finished up and, was an intern at the A&A while I was going to school, and then graduated.
So you mentioned you were an intern at the A&A. So during this, like one summer or a couple summers?
A couple summers, yeah.
Okay, what was that like?
It was pretty cool. I met Don Bonzer, who's one of my good friends. The two of us, they couldn't decide which one of us to have for an intern, so they decided to pick both of us.
Right.
So the two of us, they just put us in an apartment, and we got to know each other, and now we're still best friends.
Right.
Which is great.
That's cool.
So pretty much I graduated from college in '91, and the A&A was in Chicago that year. So I was a speaker on a little YN forum kind of thing, and Ira Goldberg was the moderator. And at the time, it was Superior Galleries in Beverly Hills. So I'd sent a little biography to Ira because he was going to introduce me before I gave my little talk. And I put in there, Jim just graduated from the University of Michigan. He wants to go into the coin business and be a coin dealer.
Sure.
So I gave my little talk, and Ira comes up to me. He's like, "So you want to be a coin dealer, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Why don't you call me when you get back home, and we'll fly you out to California."
That's cool. Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, this
blown away,
is great." Beverly Hills. That's where they were in Beverly Hills. So I'd never been to California in my life.
Wow. Yeah.
So call, Mr. Goldberg, hi, this is Jim. I met you at this A&A, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we'll get you a ticket. We'll fly you out for the weekend." And so they flew me out and put me up in a really swanky hotel in Santa Monica, right on the ocean. And man, I was hooked. Like this California thing is really great, So they wound up hiring me to kind of be their showroom manager. They had a nice showroom, which ironically, the building that Superior Galleries was in is now the building Heritage is in.
Okay, got it.
So
sure,
it's still a coin place today.
Right.
So that was great. I went to work for Superior, packed up everything I could in my car, and the funny thing was when I'm in the interview, they were saying like, "Well, you need moving expenses, right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course I do." And they said, "Yeah, well, you've probably got lots of furniture," and I'm just laughing because I'm like, "No, I'm a poor college student. I have nothing, So I think they gave me, $5,000 moving allowance or something, and I was just like, "Wow, like that's a ton of money. I can just put everything in my car and a couple $100 in gas, and
you're there. Yeah, you got money for furniture as your new place. Yeah.
So I got settled in there at Superior. So it was Ira Goldberg, Larry Goldberg, and Kevin Lipton had an office there.
Wow. Okay.
So Kevin actually was one of my mentors when I first, started there, and he kind of taught me the business and really showed me, kind of escalated my game. And funny, I had glasses on at the time, and he's like, "You're too nerdy. You need to get some contacts." So he sent me to his eye doctor in Beverly Hills, and bought me some contact lenses, and it was great. Like those 2 years at Superior, I just learned a ton. We had celebrities that came in, and it was just a really cool experience. I don't think I saved a penny. I spent every penny I made just having fun in California, exploring on the weekends, going to the beach, going to art museums, going to, see everything I could. And
Michigan to Beverly Hills, that's quite a change. You live in the California dream at a really young age.
Yeah, it was funny because that's when that show 90210 was real popular.
That was big,
So my zip code was 90210, and I lived right across from Beverly Hills High School. So, all my friends were like, "Wow, he made it big," It was fun,
Well, so day to day, what were you doing there? I mean, even back then, they were already old school, like classic, traditional firm, like really big, well-known firm. And they had helped build a lot of great collections. So like day to day, like what did you do there and learn? I
mean, I literally was like the counter guy that, people would come in and I'd be the one that helped them at the counter, if they wanted to buy stuff or sell stuff. And it was great. I mean, we had, people like Danny DeVito and Steve Martin and
really just walk right in.
Just walk in, yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
And it was fun. Just got to see lots of coins I'd never seen before, and and having Kevin there, who's one of the greatest coin dealers ever, as one of my mentors. It was great. And the Goldbergs were phenomenal to me. They were really, really good and helped me a lot.
That's cool. Yep. So is there any funny story with a celebrity that kind of stands out?
Well, one, when Steve Martin came in, one of the other guys waited on him and didn't recognize who he was, which I thought was funny. And so he went to give us a check, and the guy's like, "Oh, I need to see some ID." And we're all watching this, and the guy, pulls out his ID, and he's like, "Oh."
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I guess he even had a funny picture on his driver's license that he told
yeah.
me later, so it was kind of funny.
He's one of the tops, one of the old school best. Yeah, that's
So
cool.
It was neat. Yeah, it was just a great experience. I got to see, a lot of coins and go to shows. That's when I really started going to national coin shows a lot more.
How many shows do you think you were going to a year your first couple of years?
20 to 25.
It's a lot. So you're traveling. You're on the airplane every week, every couple of weeks.
Yep, I was going to all the big shows, and that's when I first started going to Long Beach. So I've been there, let's see, I started in 91. So I've been to 31 years in Long Beach. Wow. Which the crazy thing is, somebody said, like, how much time have you spent in Long Beach? And I thought about it, and I said, I've spent a year of my life in Long Beach.
Yeah, wow.
31 years, and I've been there, I go probably 5 days each show, so 15 days a year times 30.
450 days. Yeah, that's over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's
yeah, it's crazy.
It's a great show. I really enjoy this show.
I do too. I like
the vibe, California. Yeah, it's good. It's a quality show. They've really I think PCGS did a good job of kind of stepping up, investing more programs, which is good.
Sure.
It's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so you got 2 years, and you're done at Superior. How old are you at this point?
So I'm 23.
Okay. What's the next stage? What's the next stage of your numismatic career?
So I guess I was doing a really good job, and everybody, had heard good things about me. And Greg Rowan, the president of Heritage, now, who was the vice president at the time, he saw me at a show and pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, we really need somebody in Dallas. Would you consider moving to Dallas?" And I said, "Geez, I've never been to Dallas before, and I'm pretty happy in California."
Yeah.
And so he said, "Well, why don't you come to Dallas, check it out." And he's like, "I'll show you, what it has to offer. You'll have a better quality of life. You can afford to buy a house. You'll meet a nice woman there. You'll, have generally a better living, environment than California was starting to become crowded and, smog and traffic and earthquakes."
So he's really kind of presenting it as a big lifestyle change too.
Right.
He said, test it out. And then for all our viewers out there in Dallas, it's a good thing. Yeah.
So it was really funny. So this was at a Baltimore coin show, and he said, like, "Meet me on the corner of such and such at 7 o'clock after the show." So it was quite a ways away from the convention center, not real close, so nobody would see anything. So I walked down to the corner, and this limo pulls up, and the window rolls down, and there's Greg.
It's like a movie.
He's like, "Jump in,"
Yeah.
And he whisks me off, and we go to dinner, and he just tells me all about Heritage. And at the time, Superior was actually bigger. Like, we were the #1 auction company, where I was working back in the 90s. And
So Superior was #1.
Superior
so
was
that's hard to
#1.
recruit you then.
Yeah.
You're loving the lifestyle. You're at the #1 firm. Okay.
Yeah, but Heritage, I just had a good feeling. Like, when he told me what they had going on and told me about Jim Halpern and Steve Ivey, and this was pre-internet. This was before anything was going on, but I just had a really good feeling that this was a good place to go. And so I basically resigned from Superior, and I wrote a nice little letter and said, "Hey, thank you for everything, but I think this might be a good fit for me."
Sure. Okay.
And so the funniest thing is, I just booked a flight to to Hawaii, and flew to Hawaii and spent a week in Hawaii before I moved to Dallas, because I was so close being in California, and I said, I can get a cheap flight, go over to Hawaii, kind of chill out for a week, and then I'll go
Back
move to
to work.
Dallas. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was fun. So I flew out to Hawaii, relaxed, got my head together, and got home, packed up, and drove to Dallas. Never been to Texas either. So.
Oh, wow. That's the experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I've been there ever since.
So you got, your first day at Heritage. Do you remember about how many employees are at Heritage today? Just a ballpark
About
number.
700.
There's 700 employees. There's 700 employees at Heritage. And then back then, how many employees were there?
57.
57. Okay, so still a very big firm, but nothing like how it is today. And what about Superior? Were they kind of equal? They said Superior was #1, but like in terms of
There was maybe 20 or 30 people that worked there.
Got it. Okay, so you're going to kind of the young upstart firm.
Exactly.
Okay, and so exciting. A lot of employees. They're investing a lot in the company. What was your first day like there?
It was, I think it was pretty uneventful, actually, because they hired me to be their showroom manager. So they had a nice showroom, and kind of similar to what I was doing in Beverly Hills.
Same role almost.
Yeah, and it was pretty quiet. There wasn't a lot of activity, but then, and they told me, the first month or two you're going to be kind of bored, but then after 2 or 3 months, things will kind of settle in.
Sure,
You'll get in the groove, and then you'll be so busy you won't have time to slow down and catch your breath. So, and sure enough, that's what happened.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
After a few months, I found myself, making friends with customers and meeting people, and my phone starts ringing, and next thing I know, I'm like more busy than I can imagine.
Right. So, okay, so like first couple of years, you're still in the showroom, you're managing the showroom at Dallas?
Yeah, so I was managing the showroom and, just doing kind of the over-the-counter stuff. And then we wound up, this is again, before the internet and we had our website and everything, we had a magazine called The Insider.
Yes.
So, they knew I was a good writer. I had, basically switched gears in college and written papers in political science and psychology. And so they said, do you want to be the editor of this magazine? And I like, sure. So I wound up being the editor of the Heritage Insider, which was like our way we sold coins. It would have coins inventory for sale and articles, and so I would write some of the articles and pick out the coins and actually almost lay out the magazine. Like I would figure out what I'm going to put on each page, and then give it all to the marketing people. They'd actually put it together, and so that was really fun. So
You realize the value of a numismatist. Touching everywhere within a coin business, whether it's marketing or it's, sales or showroom, a numismatist is very valuable.
Yep.
They lay it out.
So then the internet came along, and that was a game changer. So Heritage got in real early. Like they knew Jim Halpern just had a feeling this is it. Like this is where we want to be. So
All chips
exactly.
on the internet.
We invested a ton early,
Yeah.
and what a great gamble that turned out to be. I mean, we were a year or two ahead of everybody at least, and started getting our website going, and it just snowballed. We didn't have to publish the Insider magazine anymore. So then I became retail sales. So we were getting all these web orders and orders from the internet, and so I started kind of being the retail sales guy.
Okay, so you get orders come in, and then you call up the client, the collector, and say, "Hey, thanks for buying that. Are you looking for anything else?"
Exactly.
Or, that's cool. Relationships.
We put want lists together and help them form collections. And,
Right. Okay.
And so that was good. So that was quite a few years. And
So during this time, are you like meeting with Jim Halpern, Steve Ivey, and Greg Rohner? You're learning a lot about like the coins and coin business. A lot of interaction.
Yep. And
because they're legends. Even at that time, they were already kind of legends, So And for those of you that want to understand a little bit more of how much a game changer was that Heritage, going all in on the internet, they became number one pretty much overnight, instantly. But the first episode of Slab Lab is the co-founder of Heritage, Jim Halpern, and we go into detail a little bit more about all chips on the internet. So he explains that. So I'd highly recommend everybody check out episode 1 and 2. Yeah.
So that's cruising along, and we're building up our business. We're starting to do bigger auctions and putting the auctions on the internet, which was a big deal.
Yeah. Was there a lot of bugs all the time? Was there a lot of issues, or it was always pretty smooth, or what back then?
It was a little
buggy.
funky. Yeah.
This is like 96, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was a really good time to figure out how to do this and how to create the platform to sell coins, and which was really important, because then we could later take that platform and sell sports cards or sell jewelry or sell any small collectible using that same formula, basically.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
So it must have been fun, because now for the first time, you're working the showroom, and now you're like working with people that you're building relationships with. And it's almost like that's what's fun about building collections with people, advising them, is you're in it too. You're living as a collector yourself through the collector that you're helping. And so you're accomplishing things together, and a lot of communication.
It was
must
fun.
be
I could almost collect vicariously through the person. Like I'd find them coins and help them build their collections, and so that was a lot of fun and personally enjoyable. To help build these collections. So then at some point, I guess a couple of our buyers wound up leaving, and so
It went to Superior.
no.
Yeah.
And so the owner said to me, like, hey, our buyers are not here anymore. Do you want to try and start buying coins? And so I was like, sure. So then I switched from being wholesale or retail sales to wholesale buying.
Okay, wholesale. So you're going into wholesale now for the first time.
Right.
Your first part of your career was managing a showroom, both buying and selling, but with collectors and members of the public that don't really collect.
Right.
Then you transitioned to helping collectors build collections, and now they're like, hey, do you want to go to the wholesale level?
Well, I guess I kind of did wholesale sales too. That was kind of the transition.
I see.
Because I was going to all the shows and selling coins at the shows, so doing wholesale sales alongside retail sales.
Yeah.
And then our two buyers wound up leaving, and so they kind of threw me in that position. Said go buy some coins, and so I started buying coins. I really liked it, and I just kept becoming better and better at it, and eventually was probably like the top buyer at Heritage as far as the quantity of coins.
Well, right away.
Yeah, because they just needed it's a machine. We just had to keep feeding the machine, with auctions and orders from our inventory, and so I just really started buying a lot of coins, and that really worked out well for me.